Hey there, welcome back to the Short Rod Show. This is our ice fishing podcast, episode number 2. You got Ben here.
And you got Brett.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We're super excited you're here. We're here to talk about ice fishing and everything that ice fishing involves. We got a really good show here planned for you today. Brett, what are we talking about?
Yeah, a little outline we have going on today. First, we're going to talk. So Ben and I, we've been talking, and we read through the new In-Fisherman, the ice fishing.
What's it called here? The Ice Fishing Tactics and Gear 2020 guide.
Yeah. And there's actually some really interesting topics that they talk about in there. Not necessarily their overall, the whole article topic, but you pick up some sweet tidbits in between there that I think we want to discuss and break down a little bit for you. And then also we're going to talk a little bit about some new stuff we've got coming up for this year as far as new tackle, new gear, and then how to refine some of our old gear to make sure it works as good as we want it to. And then to finish off the show, we're going to talk a little bit about the ice show that we plan on coming up to in St. Paul. When is that? December 6th through the 8th, something like that. I think we're going to go on the 7th.
First full weekend in December.
Yep. If you pick up anything from this, is to always do the VIP part. Because there's about a tenth of the people that are there, and it's just an extra $20.
I don't even know if
you
it's
can't
that.
even breathe. You could last year when we went up there, you couldn't even breathe after 1 o'clock when all those people.
It was nuts.
It was crazy.
I think it's just $20 total per person.
Oh, that might have been.
It might have been like what, $12
I don't
for the
remember
regular
exactly
show?
what it was, but
there's no way you do that.
Yeah, that was
just
crazy.
Get the VIP, get in there early, get your stuff. Especially if you're hunting for big ticket items.
Yep.
There's no way you can negotiate with reps or anybody at the stores after noon? 10,
you couldn't even use the
10:30?
bathroom after noon. It was nuts. But yeah, talk about that and then just a few of the gems that we've picked up there in the past and why we want to go there.
Awesome. Coming up next on the Short Rod Show. Hey there, guys. If you've been over to our website at shortrodshow.com and like what you see, you should get in touch with our partners over at Evergrow Marketing. They're a digital marketing agency that specializes in landscape and lawn care businesses, but they also work with guys like us. They can help your business show up on Google and help expand your digital footprint. To learn more about the Evergrow team and how they can help you get more customers, visit them at evergrowmarketing.com. Tell them Ben and Brett sent you from the Short Rod Show podcast to get an additional 10% off your first bill.
Ben and I really want to thank our fans for helping the Short Rod Show really take off. You can find us all over the internet at shortrodshow.com. Please sign up for our email list so you can stay up to date with every podcast. Also, you can find us on Facebook, Short Rod Show, and anytime you get a chance, hit that star number 5.
Hey, welcome back. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to go into a deeper dive into the In-Fisherman magazine that we've got looking at, particularly looking at 2-rod tactics. So here in Iowa, you can fish with 2 rods. And I know
most places too. I
yeah,
feel like
ice fishing.
That's most. Minnesota, definitely.
Yeah. If you get the extra
Wisconsin.
license, you can get the 3rd one here in Iowa, but I don't know many people that do. I've never done it. I've always there's times that I can barely keep 2 rods in the water.
I mean, you got 2 hands, right?
Yeah.
You need 3 rods.
Well, that's why you need the 1 rod holder.
There you go.
But that's some interesting things. What was the article specifically called? Two-timing?
Two-timing. Simple means success.
Yeah.
So really, I was reading this, I don't know, a month or so back when it came out. I mean, of course, it catches your eye in the big packaging with the Humminbird ad, and it's got the Reeds ad in there, all the pricing on all of your gear coming up. So it's pretty cool to look at. But really, this article I think is the money spot on this whole In-Fisherman magazine. Learned a lot of different things from it. So basically, what they're talking about. 2-rod tactics. So most guys are familiar with the dead stick setup. You know, that's really common. If you're going to be out there on the ice, definitely the more jigs you have in the water, legally, of course, means more success on the ice.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're out there traditional dead sticking, you're setting up a rod on a rod holder. Maybe you have a minnow. Maybe you have some other kind of live bait, or you just have a spoon tipped with a minnow head. And you're over there bouncing it with your foot or tapping on it with your hand. All right?
Yep.
That'd be your traditional kind of dead stick. Really what they're talking about here, that's groundbreaking to me the main one would be the hide lure.
We'll get that to the end.
All right.
We'll come up to that.
I'm excited about that.
Because some of these other ones
That's
I've done
awesome.
in the past, and I have a little bit of experience, and actually some really good luck. I mean, you got your typical, like Ben said, that you got one dead stick in one hole, and you got your jigging in the other. So as I had mentioned before, I've only been running a flasher for 2 years, so that was a staple before you have a flasher. You have to have as many rods in the in the ice or underwater. So what I would do is I'd take my one dropper jig, and I guess what I consider a dropper jig is your typical tungsten jig. Take the one dropper jig, throw a waxy on there, drop it down, a couple cranks up, so I'd estimate 6 to 12 inches off the bottom.
Yep.
Let that sit there, and that's my dead stick. While I'm running the exact same bait on the other stick while I'm jigging.
And you're testing out different depths, and you're just
that one's active,
moving off the bottom. Start a couple feet, maybe start moving up.
Yep. Because without a flasher, it's really hard to nail down crappies.
Yep.
Just because they're sitting up in the water column a little bit. Where usually you're running without if you don't have a flasher, you got to just drop it to the bottom because that's the only constant that you really know.
Yep.
You put that there, dead stick that one, and then my jigging one. Yeah, I'll start at the bottom usually, and then I'll just work up in increments. Every 2 or 3 minutes, I'll start at the bottom, same height as my dead stick, jig it. If that's not doing anything, give her a couple cranks, jig it another for 2 or 3 minutes, then keep working my way up through the water column. I mean, I've caught crappies damn near just below the ice before, so you just keep working that whole column, and then that gives you your tandem deal if they want an active bait or a bait that's just sitting there.
Yep. So that's really common to do, and definitely that's kind of the go-to. When we get out there on the ice, we're pretty much always going to have that setup going at the least.
Yep.
Unless the fish are super active and all you can do is just run one, pulling fish out.
Yep. Well, and there's a little twist to that too. So before I had mentioned that you're running the exact same bait on both, and so the next twist is where you're running a spoon or something with a rattle on your active rod. And the concept with that is that you're kind of calling them in, and then they either want that bigger, more active bait, or then they see and clue in on your dead stick rod and attack that one.
And part of the article was talking about having schools of perch come in on that kind of setup.
Yep.
Where you got your jig and spoon and a jig, and they might get confused on that and actually get negative and turn off and not bite. And that's where it's a little bit interesting where we're talking about. Can I go into it now?
Yeah, you do it.
I'm excited about this. So what do they call it here? The hide?
The hide allure.
Hide allure. Yep. Classic. So in that scenario, say you have some perch coming in. They're looking at a jig, they're looking at a spoon, and they don't know what to hit, or they're confused. Wait, why are there two baits right here? Really, the hide allure is pretty cool. You're basically taking a jig. You can use a jig and wrap. You can use a spoon. You're going to stage that completely on the bottom. You're basically hiding it in the mud of the bottom. You're laying it on the bottom. It's not active right off the bat. And you're fishing another lure to call them in. So you can alternate. We like to use the Rattling Flyer from Lindy.
Go-to bait.
The Lindy Rattling Flyer.
We'll get into that in future episodes on go-to baits.
So it's got some rattle to it, some flash, some spin. It's calling fish in, okay? They may not bite on that, though. They may come in, look at it, and get a little spooky. That's where you pull up your other jig. Say your jig and wrap that's laying on the bottom. You pull that off and drop down your spoon completely on the bottom and do a little bait and switch on them. Oh, yeah. I'm excited to try that this year. Never tried that before, but talking in fishermen here, that's some pretty interesting tactics.
Well, I think it's a roreaction bite, just like what you're looking for when you're running a jig and wrap or something off the bottom and you're popping it off. Those fish aren't used to seeing baits come up off the bottom, especially later in the season when you're just dropping jigs on them and everything that's, dangerous to them is coming down at them, where this pops up off the bottom. And I mean, that's where your bugs and everything come out of anyways.
Yep.
I mean, your bugs aren't dropping from the ceiling. The bugs are coming up from the lake bottom.
Yep.
So I think, I'm pumped to try that out this year.
Stirring up a little bit of mud, a little bit of action on the bottom.
Yep.
Flipping baits around. That's pretty cool to try out too. So.
I mean, this probably isn't going to be a crappie tactic, but it'll be definitely a bluegill, catfish. I mean, you can get crappies off the bottom sometime, but I haven't found a lot of them. They're usually pretty negative if they're on the bottom, I've noticed. But
And the different presentations really worked well for us last year.
Yep.
You know, having some type of spoon and some type of jig set up.
Yep.
Whether we're doing it in tandem, you know, Brett's running a jig and I'm running a spoon, or even with 2 rods like this, that's perfect. That's right where you need to be, figuring out, testing the water, seeing what the fish like that day, because it could be they need a different color, it could be they need a different type of presentation, and really the spoon and the jig are our main, you know, panfish type baits that basically any panfish is going to go after.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to get big. Like I said, my normal go-to bait is the Lindy Rattle and Flyer in the 16th ounce, I think.
Yep, 16th.
And I mean, typically, and I guess maybe I have different experience, but that's a pretty big bait for a bluegill.
Yep.
And that's it's probably a decent bait for a crappie. I've got catfish on it too. But don't be afraid to go big. So often I think the key is to people at first want to go small, which we'll get into that a little bit. I do run some small jigs, but it's more, I want a real light jig, not necessarily a small presentation, but I'm after that light flutter in the water column.
Yep. Well, and the Rattling Flyer is great for that because it'll flutter down.
It'll shoot off to the side a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's got some rattle in it. I mean, it's a sweet bait. I mean, I've ran the hooks off of those things before and just put new hooks on them again.
Yep. Yep. Little split ring in the bottom, easy. Change them out, put another hook on, and away you go.
Yep.
So, yeah, we use a lot of Rattling Flyers, and really the main takeaway from this article that I got at least was don't be afraid to try new things. There's something that it takes no extra equipment. Everyone's got 2 rods, 2 setups, right?
Yep.
Takes no extra equipment. You can just drill 2 holes, have your flasher in the middle, and see both lures. Keep one at the bottom, keep one, active and jigging. And when the fish come in, maybe they bite that one. That's cool. Then you won. Maybe they don't, and they get turned off. Then you flip them around.
Well, you can really see how they react with a flasher.
Yep.
I mean, they can come in real hot on that active bait and then kind of turn off a little bit. And then you usually can kind of see whether they're slipping towards your dead bait or what's going on.
And really for changes throughout the day too. If you're fishing all day, say you're fishing only at night, they're going to react differently to all those baits. So that's where just having those 2 different baits is going to save you. It could mean the difference between having 10 fish and having 1 fish.
Oh yeah,
in a
definitely.
day.
That's a big time difference.
Yep.
So as we talk about running jigs in this 2-rod system, so what kind of jigs do you want to use? Like I said, we like to use the Rattle and Flyer a lot for the flash and action, but I mean, still that dropper jig is still king in the ice fishing world.
Yep. Those have really exploded the last, I would say probably 5 years.
Yeah.
The amount of variety that you can get on the market is huge. It used to be, the Clam made a few. I see this year they're coming out with all kinds of new jigs.
And new colors.
And
I mean, I think a lot of that's more to catch the fishermen than it does actually catch fish, but they're still cool looking. Glows are pretty big anymore also, but I only own a few glow jigs. But I guess one of the jigs I really like to run, and a company that Ben and I both really like to run off of is Widowmaker lures. We've been running them the last couple seasons. And it's not necessarily that their dropper jig or that, that typical tungsten jig is that much better than anything on the market. But they offer just a wide variety of jigging types of things. I mean, obviously the most popular is that dropper jig, tungsten, go.
Yep.
But really, when you're on a heavily pressured lake, like you take Big Creek for an example, those fish have seen 1,000 of those jigs. So what I really enjoy about buying stuff out of Widowmaker is they've got such a wide variety of different types of jigs that I've never even really thought of.
Well, and it seems to me too, their jig designs are based on actual, bugs in the water.
Yep.
In specifically too in Iowa. I mean, it's an Iowa company. They've been around for a long time. And Brett's got a box in front of him here of some of their designs for this coming year. And really, there's no other jigs that look like it.
Yeah.
They're one of a kind.
I mean, so I first bought this jig. So I'm talking about, what's this jig called that they put? The Caddis Cane. So we first bought these, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
When we went up to the Minnesota Ice Show.
Yep.
That's why we keep talking about this ice show, because it's just, you just see things that you've never known even existed in ice fishing. It's just a great thing to go to.
Yep.
But so we picked these up. They're called the Caddis Cane by Widowmaker. And what they really kind of look like, they're kind of like a vertical jig. And they've got, it looks like almost like a little spring on the front of them. They're light.
Looks like a little extension spring squished together and glued.
Yep.
And then painted with some polka dots on it.
Yep, painted white. The one I have in my hand right now is painted white with orange polka dots on it. And it's a vertical presentation, ultra light. I mean, these are not your heavy tungsten jigs. And I think, to me, that's what sets these ones apart a little bit, is when you're on heavy pressured water. These things fall like a feather. So when you're jigging them, I mean, they have just a really nice, slow action to them.
Yep. Which is like what a real larvae would do in the water.
Yeah.
They're floating around. They're not going to be a 5mm tungsten. Just boom, drop into the bottom, no problem.
And just pound it. I mean, that's the reason I call these jigs dropper jigs, because all they're doing is you're dropping it down and it's just going up and down.
Yep.
They're not really
Small
doing
movements.
any other actions.
This one you can do big movements.
Yeah, this one will do a lot of big movement. And what I like it kind of does in the water, it'll do a little bit of like a buck and bronco action, where if you tie it up straight, the waxworms or minnow head that you put on the jig or on the hook the water tension will hold that back, so that front of that jig will fall first, and then it'll come back up, and it also almost does like a I don't know what you call it, buck and bronco action.
Yeah, it just rocks back and forth and just looks awesome in the water.
I mean, it got to the point last year where I always had to have a rod tied up with this.
Yep.
Well, number one, because the eye holes are so damn small, you couldn't just keep retying these things out on the ice. You had to tie them up while you're at home. But I love these things. They're my second go-to after the Rattle and Flyer.
And I don't think a lot of people give those a lot of attention just because of the profile and how stuck people are on having tungsten jigs. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
If we had $1 for every time someone said, nope,
gotta
only
have
run tungsten. Yep.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you know how many fish were caught before tungsten came out on just lead jigs?
All of them.
All of them. There you go. But yeah, that's a good example of an ultra lightweight jig and it's for tough bites. It's for
heavily pressured
fish. Yeah. But you can go down in size, up in size. Talk about the ice slice.
Yeah.
Too.
They also make this cool one. They call it the ice slice. It's, if you can believe this, it's half the size of probably that caddis cane that I just talked about.
We're only talking what, a quarter inch?
Yeah, that caddis cane, like this one's a size 10.
To an inch.
I think this is the size 10, and it might be a half inch. The shaft of the hook might be a half inch long. But this ice slice is half that. So it's maybe from the eyelet to the J of the hook, to the base of the J on the hook, might be a quarter inch. And then it's got the same deal where it's got almost like a spring that's encrusted in lead, and then it's been painted. I'm pretty jazzed to get this one out. I haven't used these yet, but I can't imagine they'd be any different. They're just smaller baits. A lot of times, when you're fishing these ponds around Ankeny, to be honest, you're not catching real big fish a lot of times. I mean, yeah, you'll catch big bass. There'll be some big crappies.
There's the potential, but it's not not in every cast.
For the most part, if you're fishing that pond up on 36th Street, you're catching little crappies or little catfish like that time. That thing
you're
like
feeding the itch.
8 inches long. Yeah, they're just a small bait to put out there, and I'm pretty pumped to see how they react in the water. Yep. I don't know what you think of them, but
when we first saw them, I went a little crazy. I wish I had my jig box here with me, but I have almost every size. I think I do have every size of caddis cane and every single kind of color combination you can get. Right now they're running a lot of good deals on them too. So now's a good time to stock up. Throughout the year, you guys know how things are. If it's popular, it's probably going to sell out. You know, seeing some things on Facebook too about all the clam jigs. The pinhead minnow.
Yeah,
and
they do a good job
color
up there. Clear Lake guys, they do a good job pumping.
That's probably going to sell out in no time. So if you're not jumping on it now, this is we're recording this in November here. If you're not jumping on it now, you're probably going to miss out for the year.
Yeah, it might be a tough time
because they're not going to make more throughout the year. You're not going to see them, or retailers aren't going to start selling them or restocking their shelves as much. So cool. What else you got there,
Brett? So now we're getting into uncharted waters of some stuff that, like I said, I like, especially on these heavily pressured lakes, I like to have something different. So they had, on their website, they had these little guys up for sale. They're called the Calamity. And I have never seen anything like this. It's like they took a Colorado blade off your spinner bait and folded it in half around a horizontal presentation hook. and then they just drill 2 little eye holes in it.
Eye holes in the front, and then you got your eyelet in the middle.
Yeah, the
right?
eyelet's in the middle of the bait, eye holes in the front, and then it's like a hammered steel looking deal. And it's got some lead in there. It looks like poured. I'll be interested to see how that falls, and I'm kind of pumped up to try these things.
That thing looks awesome.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, too, but really, that kind of bait reminds me of guys making their own jigs.
Oh, yeah. That definitely came from that.
Experimenting, trying new things. And really, when you talk, like you said, heavily pressured fish, they want to see something they've never seen before.
Yeah,
they're not going to bite.
Or you're not going to catch.
They're not going to bite on something that everyone's thrown their way. So.
Yep. And then I also picked up these. They're called dragonflies. They're just kind of, I don't know how you even describe that. The eyelet's in the center of the bait again. This one's tungsten, actually.
Oh, fancy.
But then the hook almost drops away from the jig at like a 45-degree angle.
Yep.
Instead of straight back or straight down, it kind of goes at an angle. And to me, I think that's going to be Minnow City.
Yep.
You hook a minnow through the mouth on that, you drop him down.
Yep.
That's going to be the juice.
I'm excited to try that on Clear Lake.
Oh yeah, that'll be it.
That'll be perfect. Cool. And what about this one with the blades on it? What's this one called?
What is that one called? The Neely Bug.
Neely Bug. So this has 2 little spinner blades on the top, basically. It's a little larvae type bait. Almost looks kind of like a waxworm.
Yeah, horizontal bait.
Well, that's the vertical.
Or vertical bait.
That's
yeah,
the vertical bait. Yep. But 2 little tiny spinner blades on it. So are you tying on? You said right in the middle.
I think I want to tie in between those 2 little blades.
Tie in the middle of the blades. And I can't even get it held up here, right? But that'll spin those blades around pretty cool and flash.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about these 2. I think they'll be sweet. I think this will be a bass getter, actually. I think this will be a bucket mouth ditch pickle getter.
Ditch pickle killer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, surprisingly enough, there's some real nice bass to be caught around.
Yep.
Around town here.
And lots of people think they just go inactive and you never see them through the ice, but
no,
depends on how you're fishing for them.
If I'm catching and releasing, largemouth are probably my number 2 favorite fish to catch.
Yeah.
Number 1 would be catfish.
About 3-4 pound largemouth on 2 pound line.
Oh gosh,
with your little Widowmaker jigs.
Yeah, it gives you everything you want.
Yep. That's fun.
What else do we got on here? So we'll go in a little bit on other new things that we plan on getting or doing this year. So I'd mentioned earlier that I've got a gas powered auger right now running. Ben runs the electric, so I've been nursing off of that the last year.
Yep. The old gas auger didn't get a lot of use last year.
No, it didn't. And
I used it once just to see how it worked, and it just slow.
Anytime I went by myself, I went, it's just slow and pain in the ass.
What kind is it?
Strike Master. I mean, it's your normal gas auger. It's not that it's any poor condition or poor shape compared to any other gas auger. It's just compared to those drill type ones that I can just put my DeWalt drill in. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. I mean,
you're running the chipper blade, which that'll slow you down a little bit. But geez, you never replaced it, never touched it.
Running the combination DeWalt drill, or a lot of people like to run the Milwaukees. Clam plate with 5, 6, or 7 8-inch blade, Strike Master, hand blade.
Yep, the laser.
That's a sweet setup, man. And for the cost, I mean that's got to be about as cheap as it gets.
Yep. That was a game changer for me, getting the starting off with just one of those cheap drill adapters. It takes the laser hand auger and puts a little 1/2-inch bit on it that you can run your drill on. A
lot of people get by with those.
Yep.
I mean,
Works
they don't
great.
mind them.
Yep.
But I think, it just takes that stress off everything, and it feels more natural with that clam plate.
If you're drilling holes all day and trying to hold that drill from torquing around on you, especially when you get up into a 7 or 8-inch auger bit,
and you're getting into
that'll
a foot of
wear
ice.
you out, or / break your drill handle off. Or, I mean, the Milwaukee ones break off, I see a lot.
Yep.
The DeWalt ones are really cheesy plastic handles.
Yeah, so
but still,
they're not great.
Yeah, not a big fan of those. So for us, the added stability of the clam plate, just totally worth it. You're holding it just like a gas auger. Yep. It also, I mean, you set your drill on the ice. You set it down how many times a day?
Yeah, then you don't have to worry about the drill sitting in the water or sitting on the snow. Or
yep, it's just right there.
Gross.
Good to go. Keeping everything nice. So and we just run DeWalt stuff because that's just what we have.
They're light. I mean, for the price difference between just buying the regular metal laser versus buying what they got, the new light flight or those pistol bits, the K drill.
Yep.
I mean, we're only talking like 4 pounds, but we're talking, $70 to $100 for the laser to $200 for the.
Yep.
For the.
I mean,
others.
if money's no object, but geez,
I'm kind of cheap.
Brett's really cheap. I'm not so cheap.
My wife says I squeak when I walk.
I believe it. There was a time when I was getting way into it, and I'd probably buy the light flight.
Yep.
Just because it's the newest thing and the coolest thing. But really, as far as ice fishing technology goes, incrementally, this stuff is not, it's not leaps and bounds over the previous stuff. Okay. No. We're talking, like I said, 4 or 5 pounds of weight savings, and the longevity of it too. That's, who knows? I mean, the K drill is out there. It's been out there for, I don't know, 10 years.
Oh no, the K drill. The K drill's been out for quite a while. Yeah. But I haven't heard anybody having any problems with them, I guess. But
no, but geez, that's $200.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there ramming it in the ice and then lifting up, getting all your chips out, back and forth. I don't know how guys do that on a clam plate because I don't think the clam plate's meant.
I don't know if I've ever seen that on a clam plate before.
I know you can. They make an adapter.
Do they?
I don't know how that works, but yeah. So you're picking up a clam plate this year.
Yeah, clam plate
and a hand auger.
And a hand auger.
A laser.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to buy a cheap gas auger, I'll have one for sale.
I think we need to make some projects out of gas augers and make like some go-karts or some kind of.
I know you want to buy that.
The ice auger machine.
The ice auger machine that's made out of a Rector set, and the guy wants like $1,000 for that thing.
Yep.
It better come with the auger. See,
that would be. You can buy it. He'll sell it to you. He'll sell an auger to you for like an extra $100 or something crazy.
Oh, really?
And it's one of those HT Polar Fire. Like 70cc monsters.
Yep. Beast.
Really rip around, but we should get in the business of just buying up, taking people's gas augers off their hands.
There's a market out there.
Yep.
I mean, you sent me that website for, what was that? Icefishingdeals.com?
Yeah, we should talk about that.
You sent me that website, and there's ice augers on there for sale right now for $150.
Yes.
Brand new.
If you guys haven't seen this site, okay, go online, go to icefishingdeals.com.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I'll look up.
Maybe it's .net. Anyway, we'll clarify that. But I found this site. Geez, I think I was just poking around, looking for deals on the lithium shuttle. So, okay, lithium shuttles retails $249, right? Is it icefishingdeals.com?
Icefishingdeals.com. I'm staring at a Fraybill Recon 100 one-man flip over for $155 right now. That is dirt cheap. I don't care how good of a quality you think any of these products are. $155 for a one-man ice set.
And that's, I think, cheap. On Amazon.
Yeah, that's Amazon.
So this site...
That's free shipping.
That's amazing.
That's unbelievable.
So this site just goes out, searches the web. People put in, random tips and sightings, and hey, they're out poking around on Sportsman's Guide, and they're running this crazy deal blowing out striker suits, right? And they'll get posted on there for crazy prices.
Yeah, they got the Sierra Flipper. Damn it! I wish Becca would have saw this last year. $316.
Yep.
I think you paid $450 maybe at Shields. So that's pretty damn cheap. Also, one I want to mention in here also right now, as we were talking about K drills.
K drills.
You can get the 8-inch right now on where's this at? At Thorne Brothers for $175. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but $25.
But for stuff like that, it doesn't go on sale very often.
No, most things don't go on sale.
So I discovered this site to get the lithium shuttle and found out I could get it for, I think the best price was like $189. Was one random deal, you know, and I didn't even end up buying it. I bought it up at Cables.
Well, and so often there's glitches on Amazon where you can, every once in a while, things are just ridiculously cheap. Like, you're like, there's no way they're making money on this. They haven't been paying attention, and their stuff just dropped. There's also one more quick one. Fraybill Fortress. A lot of Fraybill stuff on here. They must be really pumping out the sales. Fraybill Fortress, which is like your hub.
Yep.
Looks like a pretty good size one. I'm not real familiar with Fraybill products, but $148.
Wow.
That seems like a pretty darn good deal.
That is cheap. So if you're looking to get into ice fishing and, maybe you're not wanting to hunt around on Facebook Marketplace, heck, those prices are cheaper than Facebook Marketplace for used stuff.
Yeah, that's unbelievably cheap.
Yes.
Yeah, and if there's anybody from icefishingdeals.com that is looking to has some sponsorship dollars that they'd like to float our way, we'd be more than happy to sponsor that website.
Yeah, we could talk about ice fishing deals
that
all day long.
website's freaking sweet.
Going down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
Old ice fishing deals.
Yep.
So, cool.
Yeah, you want to wrap it up a little bit about ice show, or do you want to organize your plastics?
Let's talk about plastics first.
All right, we'll do ice show next episode.
I'm really struggling with this.
Yeah.
So, we are way into the Little Adam Bait Company. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Basically, all of their plastics.
Good luck finding them on the internet.
Yeah, I've basically bought them all. Very low supply out left around the rest of the country.
As Ben mentioned earlier, this is the time to buy things because there's guys like him out there buying everybody up.
So their products are awesome. We'll talk about them another day, but basically we're talking small plastics to use on jigs, ice fishing. They come in small little packets. There's 6 or 8 of them per
10
per
sometimes,
packet,
yeah.
10, yep.
Doesn't.
But really, the only solution I've seen, which I've yet to try though, would be that clam wallet.
Yep.
Which would be a way
Well, talk
to...
about what your problem is. What's the problem that you have right now with your storage
So
system?
here's what I have. I have a little tackle box, a little segregated compartment one. I got from my grandpa when I was 5. It's like bright pink and purple, and it's dual sided. Flip it over back and forth. Basically, if you put plastics in there, they're going to bleed all over each other.
Yep.
And from one week to the next, you'll go from having a green and a white to
brown
color.
You just end up with all your plastics are brown.
So I ruined so many plastics that way. Really, they're only good for if you can keep them segregated.
Yep.
But I also worry about that C9 scent formula they put in them. And
I don't know. I feel like that stuff's gone after one time.
I think they could dry out.
I think that stuff's gone after
so
one time.
So it's not an actual, sealed apparatus.
Well,
so.
what we need to do is just make brown the hot color, and then you'd be in
the motor oil color.
Motor oil, yeah, motor oil.
Which they have. Does not work that good.
It's just recycled ones that probably they just had bleed all over each other. Like, well, shit, we got to sell these things somehow.
Yep. Melt them all down. Good to go. So anyway, if anyone has some suggestions or new products that they've seen out there for a better solution for organizing, probably, I would say, I don't know, how many different individual kinds do I have? Probably 25, 30.
100.
At least. Not 100. There's no way.
Are you only talking about the ones you just bought, or are you talking about previous stock?
Everything that I got.
Previous stock.
Probably 50 then?
50, I would say.
Jeez, I got to go through my stuff again.
Like I said, you're the bait man.
So, anyway, plastic storage just grinds my gears.
We got to figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah. That'll be maybe a whole topic once we figure out a solution.
Yep. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the show. We sure enjoyed talking ice fishing with you here for the last half an hour or so.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by.
We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you on the flip side. We got a lot more episodes to come, and boy, we have a lot more topics to cover this upcoming season. We're really excited.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.